if you want to change what you have, if you want to change where you are, either figuratively or literally, you have to change your actions. You have to change what you do. It makes sense. Everything you have in life is a direct result of the actions that you take. So the next logical question becomes, well, how do you change your actions? But the place that most people get tripped up that I've seen is that they start by trying to change their actions, changing what they do, and they don't take the time to actually look at what causes the actions that they're taking. Rather than trying to change your actions right out of the gate, you have to start by changing what creates your actions, and those are your thoughts and your words. Welcome to Change Made Easy. Changing your actions, your habits, and your behaviors is hard. We make it easy. I'm Paul Leviton, and I help high achievers just like you who feel stuck bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Traditional self-help doesn't work. It's either too rigid, too generic, or too overwhelming. My approach is different. I simplify change by making it so easy it can't not happen. Using my easier framework, I'll help you create habits, routines, and actions that stick so you can stop struggling and start thriving. It's that easy. Changing your actions seems like it should be simple. It's like Nike said, just do it. Except if that were the case, everyone would have just done it already. You would have done everything that you need to make your life better. You would exercise, you would eat healthy, you would cook more, you would invest properly, you would spend less frivolously. All of those things would just happen because it's as easy as taking an action. This is why all of these things and everything in life is easier said than done. Action, in theory, is simple. In practice, is much more challenging. And that's why we get stuck, because things are hard to do and we don't end up doing them. That's just life. So the way around that, or the way through that, the way to get to take the action, to get the result that you want, isn't simply by saying, I just got to do it. I just got to try harder. I just got to be more motivated, or anything like that. What you have to do is understand what leads to action. You break it down into its constituent parts, and then you build that action from the pieces. The life that you want to live is built on changing the actions, but what is changing the actions built on? Hey, 1 second before we continue. If you're enjoying this episode, if you're learning something from this show, if you're catching yourself saying, man, this is so helpful, this Paul guy is pretty smart. First of all, thank you. But secondly, if that is you, you might have asked, how can I work with Paul? Can he help me create the change I've been looking for? And if you have, you're in luck. Because after 12 years as a coach, both in person and online, for the first time ever, I'm opening up my calendar specifically to talk to you, my podcast listener. Use the link in the show notes to book a completely free coaching session. If you need help with nutrition, fitness, motivation, mindset, basically anything that goes into building your happy, healthy life, then I want to talk to you. Click the link in the show notes and let's chat. I created this podcast to help, and now I want to go deeper. This is the first time I've ever offered anything like this, and I don't know how long it'll last or how long I'll be able to keep doing it, so take advantage while you can. All right, now let's get back to the show. So how do you create action? What are the ingredients that go into you taking action? There's lots of equations you can find all over the internet and different books, things that different businesses, thinkers, and entrepreneurs and whoever else have said, this is how you crack the code of motivation. This is how you crack the code of taking action. But no matter what the equation that you think works or what works for you, because we all are perfectly unique individuals, and the reality is no one equation works for everyone. If it did, it would have worked for everyone already. Again, if there was one simple equation that cracked motivation, that made everyone take action, we wouldn't live in a world that was like it is right now. We wouldn't live in a world where people are sick of lifestyle diseases. We wouldn't live in a world where people are living below their means, living under the poverty line. We can see a simple equation like expectation times value equals motivation, right? What you expect to gain times the value that you put on that potential gain would equal your motivation. So the more you expect to gain, if I expect to get paid for my day of work $100, and that value of $100 is more to me than the value of 8 hours of work, then I am motivated to do that work. But if I say I'm only going to get $100 for work today, and I value my 8 hours at much more than $100, then I am going to not be motivated. So equations like this exist, and they theoretically make sense, but again, it doesn't work across the board for everyone. But we can still figure this out by just going a layer deeper. Again, break down the parts. What are the parts of this equation? And the parts of this equation and any formula that would seek to explain why we take action, how to be motivated, or whatever words you want to use for it, are exactly that, words. This isn't arithmetic. We aren't using numbers here. We're using words. And words are at the root of all action and all change. Specifically, the words that you use when you talk to people and the words that you use when you think to yourself. Before any action comes a thought. Everything happens twice, first as a thought and then as an action. Especially when it comes to major life change or even small life change. Very rarely, if really never, are you taking an action without thinking about it in some way first. Maybe even talking about it in some way first. So in that way, all action, all change, everything that you want in life is preceded by words. Words, again, that you use to yourself and to others. So the way I see it and the way that I help people create change that lasts forever, and this works for everyone, not just a certain subsection of people, is to start to control your words, because your words are your thoughts are your words, and your words and your thoughts dictate your actions, and your actions drive your results. So rather than saying, well, I don't have the results I want, or rather than saying, well, I just need to take more action, we start at what are the words that you're using, and how are those words dictating, changing, or affecting what the result that you're trying to get is at the other end of this equation. And this might seem either overly simple to you or a little strange. Like what does that even mean, that words are everything and words control everything? So I'll give you a few examples of the words that I have found to be very powerful and that tend to control people in unseen ways. So when I first start to work with people, a word that I'm very quick to remove from someone's vocabulary is should. And you know, as a listener to this podcast, I always put shoulds in quotation mark because inherent in the word should is a disconnect from reality. Anytime that you say something should be, it means that it is not. I should have gone to the gym today. That just means I didn't go to the gym today. She shouldn't have said that to me. That means that she did say it to me. I shouldn't be this blank. I shouldn't have this blank. That means that you do. So every time you use the word should, what you're saying is what is real and what I want are two different things. You're saying I should have gone to the gym today. What you're really saying in that moment is I did not go to the gym today and I'm upset about that decision. So you can't change that. You can't change the past. So all you're doing is setting yourself up for disappointment anytime you use that word should, because what should happen and what did happen are never the same. So when you use words like should a lot in the way you speak to people and the way you talk to yourself, oh, it should be like this. I should have done more. I should be farther along by now. My business should be making this much money by now. All you're saying is, I don't like the way things are, and I'm upset about that. And that can only breed discontent inside of your brain. And eventually that discontent becomes a reason to quit, because if it should be like this and it should be like this and it should be like this, but it's not and it's not and it's not, eventually your brain goes, well, this isn't working. So if my business should have made this much money by now and I should be this successful and I should have made it this far, but I didn't, it's not, and I don't, then to my brain, I'm going, well, this clearly isn't working. So that's a good reason for me to quit and to give up. So the word should is the thing that detracts you from action, because to get the result, you need to continue to take action. For your business to be successful ever, you need to keep working on it. But the continued use of the word should takes away from the potential of you taking action by being an excuse for you to quit, because it sets you up for feeling like things are never going to work, like things are different than they quote unquote should be. So that's an example of when words dictate your actions and keep you from results. Another type of word or set of words that really grind my gears are words around control or lack thereof. So as a nutrition and a fitness coach, I hear these a lot in my years doing this, where people go, well, I just caved, or I couldn't control myself. Someone put out cookies at the office function and I just lost control, or I just cracked under the pressure. And all of these things are saying the same thing. I gave up control. And I'm very quick to tell my clients, or anyone who wants to hear it when I'm talking to them, stop using that type of language, because that type of language is ceding control away from you. It is taking our control, which is inside of us, which is known to be one of the most impactful drivers of human motivation, having what's called an internal locus of control. I am the master of my own destiny. I control my life. And what happens? People who believe in an internal locus of control are seen to be happier. They're seen to go farther in life. And then the external locus of control is life is happening to me. Things just happen to me. It's out of my control. I can't do anything. And that's a very defeated feeling. People who go through life like that tend to be less happy. They tend to take less risk. They tend to do less things. They tend to be less successful. So when you're using language like, I just lost control, I just couldn't handle it, I just cracked, I just caved, what you're doing is taking that control and putting it outside of yourself. Oh man, the burger smelled so good, I just caved, I just cracked. Oh gosh, I really told myself I was going to stop scrolling on my phone, but I just gave in. When really what's happening in those moments is you chose. Someone put cookies out on the office table. I am on a diet, but I chose to eat those cookies anyway, even if they make my diet less successful. I told myself I wasn't going to scroll on TikTok for more than 20 minutes today. When 20 minutes came up, I chose to continue scrolling, even though it meant that I didn't get the work done that I had planned to do. This makes a huge difference. One, because it brings control back within you. Things are not happening to you. You are an active decider in your life. And again, going back to where we started, this is all about taking action. You can't get yourself to take action if you don't believe that you are in control of what those actions do or dictate. So when you are always saying things are happening to you, again, that becomes a perfect excuse for your mind, for your subconscious to say, well, there's no point to take action because nothing ever works. I'm not in control anyway. And when you take that control back, even when the decisions that you make are counter to your own best interest, it is still your own decision. So saying, I chose to eat foods that were not within my meal plan or that didn't line up with my diet, or I chose to skip doing that project and just watch Netflix all night, or I chose to sleep in rather than wake up early and make it on time to that meeting. One, again, it gives you back control. But two, it then forces you to make a decision. Because now what that brings up is called cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is when you have two conflicting worldviews or two conflicting thoughts in your head, and you have to balance them out. So if you say, well, I'm on this diet and I really care about this diet and I really want to lose weight, but someone put out cookies and I chose to eat 3 cookies rather than worry about my weight loss. So now those two ideas are conflicting. I really care about my weight loss. It's the most important thing to me right now. And I really wanted those cookies. And you have to say, obviously in that moment, I chose the cookies over my weight loss goal. But when you're saying, oh, I just lost control, you allow yourself to trick yourself into thinking my diet still is the most important thing to me. I just lost control in that moment. It wasn't my fault. And that tricks your brain into thinking that your priorities are different than they are, which then keeps you trapped because you will continue to take the actions counter to your goals while still lying to yourself, saying that you are in alignment with your goals. When you say the right words, when you don't use language that shifts the blame away from you and instead use language that takes back control and autonomy, even again, if it is not the exact decision that maybe would have been best, you are the active decider. And when you are the active decider, you can then take action. When things are happening to you, when you are not the driver of life, when you're in the passenger seat, you can't take action because life happens to you. When you are in the driver's seat, when you are the chooser, you can then be the person who takes action. And only then can you change those actions to get the result. Even if that action was, again, scrolling instead of doing your work project, snoozing your alarm instead of getting up early, which are not in alignment with those goals. When you choose to take control over them, when you choose to use words and your thoughts that allow you to admit that you are the decider, you have at least the opportunity to eventually change the action, which will get you a different result. But as long as you're in this fake reality where things happen to you and it's out of your control and it's not your choice, you can never change the action and you will always get the same result. I could go on and on with these. The shoulds, the coulds, supposed to, want to. Watch the words that you use. That's my one action step for you this week. Be cognizant. Start to take awareness around the words that you use. It's easiest in emails and texts because you can actually see them. But even when you're talking to someone, and especially if you're talking to yourself, if you do things like journaling, which I highly recommend for most people, see what type of language comes up naturally. Is it language that shifts the blame away from you? I should have, I could have, I was supposed to, I lost control. Or is it language that brings the blame onto you? I chose to, I am, I did, I didn't. There's a very stark difference when you start to look for it. And if you become the type of person who uses decisive, controlling language, and you make efforts to stop being a person who uses blame shifting language, you will start to see that it becomes easier and easier to take the actions that you're trying to get yourself to take. And you become a person who moves closer and closer to their goals over time. And you'll stop being the type of person who feels out of control, like life is happening to them, even when things aren't going your way, which no matter what is always a better place to be. So watch your words, watch your thoughts, shift away from blame pushing, and start taking the blame for everything in your life. And you'll see how much faster you start to get closer and closer to your goals. That is change made easy. Before you go, I want to talk to you. Literally. For the first time ever in over 12 years as a coach and 4 years doing this podcast, I'm opening up my schedule to help listeners like you for free. I'm offering a free coaching session to you as a thank you for supporting this show. I help people create their healthy habits and happy lives and create positive change around their health, wealth, and relationships. Whatever you're working on, mind, body, and soul, we can cover it all. If you're struggling, I want to help you build a plan to get through it and past it. So go into the show notes and click the link that says book a free call today. I don't know how long I'll be able to keep doing this, and my schedule will fill up. So if you want to take advantage, make it happen ASAP.